Over the years, marketers have been analyzing the different generations, baby boomers, Gen X, millennials, and recently we have seen there's a red thread among all of them: speed. They all want everything to happen now. My name is Francisco Serrano, and I am the Chief Speed Officer at One-to-One and the host of the TheNowGen podcast. Join me. Each episode, we talk about what's happening with brands, see how brand professionals across different industries cope with this fast-changing market, and live up to the expectation of this now generation. Welcome.
This episode is brought to you by One-to-One, the fastest day-to-day design, content, and digital studio. One-to-One has been the premier partner for many Fortune 500 companies, proving that tight deadlines shouldn't be a hassle.
Hello, everyone, and thank you for being again here with us in the TheNowGen podcast. I know we have talked about a lot of things going in the direction of being agile and reacting to the demands of the now generations, right? But, sometimes in business, the corporate executives also have that type of a demand, of a response, not just the consumer, the end consumer in a consumer goods industry kind of a way. So the B2B has also influenced in this now generation movement. And there are many brands out there trying to break that barrier and connect with this generations. For today's podcast, I have a very, very special guest. Her name is Lauren Sallata. She's the Chief Marketing Officer at Ricoh. Thank you so much, Lauren, to being here with us to talk about your experience here.
Well, thank you so much, Francisco. It is truly my pleasure to be here with you today.
Thank you, Lauren. Before we dive into the conversation, can you tell us a little bit about your insights and your professional journey and what is it that you do at Ricoh?
Absolutely. So as the Chief Marketing Officer for Ricoh North America, I have responsibility for all things marketing, sort of the full stack, as you would say, including product, intelligence and insights, MarTech, and brand demand and comms, and pretty much everything in between. So it's a great role, and we've recently integrated our two countries together, Canada and the U.S., into a North American team. So we've been pretty busy. And then to answer your question about my career and the path that I've been on, I started in communication and in public relations, and ended up on the client side working for a company called MCI Telecom, which I think was sort of one of the original technology companies. And then from there, really cycled through various different roles in marketing and communications. I also took on strategy roles and business development and solution development roles, all through the trajectory through Verizon and affiliated computer services, then to Panasonic North America as their CMO, and now at Ricoh North America. And so, to kind of use your word, the thread through my career has really been technology marketing and managing through a lot of change, not just because of the forces and dynamics of corporate bankruptcies and mergers and acquisitions, but also through what is, inevitably the greatest rate and pace of change in our world due to technology, and just managing through that, over the last 25 years. So really exciting.
Yeah, sorry to interrupt, but like you were saying, the market is changing rapidly, and the business to business industry is doing so the same way. So how is Ricoh keeping pace, especially considering that demand of instant gratification?
Well, we at Ricoh, one of the things, just to maybe ground the conversation a little bit in what we do, is, many people know us, especially as you talked about sort of generationally, for our heritage portfolio in office equipment and print. print production. But what's happened quietly over the last probably decade is we've made a series of acquisitions in the process automation space. And I really have actually a pretty full portfolio of digital services offerings. And so one of the things that we've been very busy with is renovating our portfolio and our brand and business narrative in the market to really address the additional generations that are now in the workplace and building out an understanding and a relationship with those generations about who Ricoh is, both as a provider of technology solutions, but also an employer of choice, which we have focused a lot on in the last couple of years since I've been here. And so very excited to share some of that with you today.
Yeah, I've seen that Ricoh has made strides in promoting diversity, equity, and inclusion. Could you elaborate a little bit more on those initiatives that you are doing?
Absolutely. So I come here with and join a team that has put quite a priority on diversity and inclusion. But for more than 85 years, Ricoh has really placed a priority on their employees, and people have been at the heart of Ricoh's success. And our commitment to diversity is deeply rooted in our founding principles, which we call the spirit of the three loves. So that is love your neighbor, love your country, and love your work. And part of our overall program has been aligning to tackling the problems identified in 12 of the 17 UN SDGs. And among them, number 8, which is to foster sustained and inclusive and sustainable economic growth, full and productive employment for all, has really been at the core of where I have focused with my team, having responsibility for portfolio and ensuring that we design in accessibility, but also partnering very closely with our Chief Human Resources Officer to really understand what are the needs, not just for accommodation in the workplace, but actually going even further and looking at the talent pool and the diversity and the opportunity for supported employment. So that's something that we're looking at making plans to scale that and implement that. And that's something that's been a little bit of a passion project for me as the head of marketing.
Yeah, impressive. And now that you're telling me this, how do you balance the need for quick customer engagement and the goal of inclusivity in your marketing strategies?
Sure. Well, I mean, speed to market obviously is important for all companies. One of the areas of focus that we've spent a lot of time on in the last couple of years since I joined Ricoh was around the customer experience and how could we use automation and AI to help us provide a more seamless experience of doing business with us. So some of our initiatives are chartered under the sort of a strategic pillar we call CX25 or customer experience 2025. And the idea is we've had several really pretty major projects to renovate all of the touch points that we have with our customers and our prospects and our employees and talent coming in curious about working for Ricoh. So we have so to make more specifics about that, website renovation and replatforming, customer experience through our platforms for our customers where we sell, for example, claims processing, where we've automated more of that process. And when we sell those services to our enterprise customers, their employees get a better customer experience because it's just easier to do the work, employing AI to help, in the example of claims, pick up, what are the more likely claims that should be looked at versus manually going through all of them in the same way. So it's been really a digital first mindset that myself and my colleagues, especially on the development team, have made a priority over the last couple of years.
Do you have examples of how customers can really service their customers when instant gratification is present?
Right. So, I mean, I think the first, speed is super important, but it's also has to be balanced with walking in your customer's shoes, right? So, a specific example is one where we've got in the product development and portfolio area is as a workplace experience provider and one of the major players in that area. We are currently focused on supporting accessible work from anywhere. So whether it's a visitor kiosk for wayfinding, for reservation management, digitally enabled meetings and meeting room support technology built into our integrated flat panel boards to enable live closed captioning and collaboration. All of those things are in play and things that we are trying to bring to market at scale for our customers and their employees or their customers.
It's incredible when you when I as a consumer go in and get in touch with technology, and you just like, how do you knew this, or all this information that make me want to engage more often, right? So I think technology plays a role, very important role in speed to market, but also I would imagine that in diversity and inclusion. Could you share how Ricoh is harnessing these tools to foster inclusivity?
Sure. So as I mentioned in our portfolio development, we've been working with outside consultants to help us bring that element of designing it into our solutions. Much of what we do as a managed services provider and integrator of services allows us the opportunity to build those solutions for our customers because of the way that their requirements are set forth. We're able to customize and build solutions that make sense for their particular business. So as I mentioned in the workplace experience category, in the digital process automation, ensuring that we're designing that in from the beginning. And also really looking at in our digital customer engagement, making sure that the touch points that our prospects and our customers, when they use our web assets, that they're usable for all.
Yeah, and do you have any other challenges that come to mind when you're trying to integrate DEI policies into Ricoh's fast-paced instant response culture?
No, I think no real challenges internally. I think we've one of the things I've been super proud of is I sort of put a call out to my community of practice, asking for volunteers, employee volunteers, to join me on this journey, right? To really bring a focus to the portfolio, but in chartering this employee group of volunteers to take on the challenge of building this accessibility culture. And so we've been doing a lot of internal education. A lot of people have come to me wanting to do something, whether based on their own personal story or just wanting to adopt a wider and more inclusive view of the world. We have, right now, we're in the process of formulating a charter and a 3-year plan that will incorporate the incredible work that's already been done in our portfolio or in flight, and then also hopefully lead us to more distinction as a leading company in this community for employment as well. We also, additionally, one of the things that I'm super proud of is my colleague Christina Morrow has led real change in our diverse supplier program, and these relationships are vital to our DE&I commitment as we continually look for new relationships to reinforce that commitment. And over the last decade or so, we've spent over $2 billion with diverse businesses. So, it's awareness, it's where we spend our money, who we engage with, how we design our products. So it's really on multiple fronts that we are looking at this and trying to support the community of people with disabilities.
Great. Lauren, I was at CES, and I saw a lot of brands looking at catering towards the people with disabilities, specifically with technology. So as you mentioned, Ricoh is focused on supporting this industry. Can you tell us what you see the future is for this industry?
Sure. Well, I think, credit due to some of the organizations that are driving things like disability employment indexes. And, I have to look no further than a lot of our customers who are named on the index and putting priority in these areas for inclusion as part of their DE&I strategies. I've personally spent more than 10 years supporting those with disabilities through my work with a community-based nonprofit called the ARC. And I'm also currently a board member on the CTA Foundation. And that's where, we were sponsoring at CES through the foundation and sponsored the Accessibility Roundtable to discuss the importance of designing products and services with accessibility and usability in mind. So, my feeling is this is, a community of individuals. 80 million people in the U.S. live with a disability, and that number will continue to grow. And looking for our place to be able to make an impact there. It's, for me, a business imperative, not just a personal passion of mine. Some of the ways that we're supporting the PWD community are around, as I mentioned earlier, talent acquisition and retention, and looking for ways to provide accessibility and accommodation focused teams and resources, as well as partnering to attract and address neurodiversity in the workplace. We have a pretty strong and ongoing employee awareness and engagement, again, partnering with our CHRO and her team to have a very calendarized focused and activation across multiple areas of DEI, not just people with disabilities, but all of the vectors of DE&I. As I mentioned, the product development as one of the leading workplace experience solutions provider, providing the opportunity for accessible hybrid work from anywhere. And then broadly, just ensuring that all of our digital customer engagement touch points are accessible and available for those with disabilities. So kind of a fully faceted, multi-front approach, looking to support our customers who are also down this path, and really just tapping into the passion and interests of our employees to help really define what our roadmap looks like on all of those vectors.
Yes, impressive. A lot of information in that marketing message comes through, right? Before we wrap this one out, because I know you're tied up with a lot of things to do. What would you say to our audience as far as, the main trigger in the marketing messaging for this podcast is speed, right? From your perspective, giving all the mixed messages that you need to provide. How does speed integrate into your marketing strategy? And what are the points that you feel are important to consider looking towards the future in this regard?
Sure. Well, first and foremost, I always challenge anybody in marketing to walk in their customer's shoes and to really be a client-facing front office marketer, right? Understand what customers value, understand their business, and really anticipate their needs before they do. And that's where I think the speed element comes in as a differentiator for us. We have been a client-centric, customer-centric organization for a very long time. And I think the quicker you can identify and deliver a solution to a customer problem, perhaps even before they know it exists, that sort of challenger mindset, the farther, we can run and take the lead in business. I think also just departmentally, building a team for marketing that's agile and willing to test ideas but fail fast. That's a sort of something that's really a necessity in the world that we live in with the rate and pace of change such as it is. And I think also the last point I would say is, if you're in marketing, you should really think about being a technologist first and really understanding, every company really is a technology company, and really understanding what that means for your industry, for your particular company, for your offering, and for your particular set of customers. So I think, all of those things in combination and having that agile mindset really help to take advantage of speed and harness it for competitive advantage.
Great. Yeah. Powerful insights, Lauren. Well, congratulations on what you have accomplished with Ricoh. I mean, that positioning and that focus on inclusion and also in disability is just admirable. Thank you very much for that. Appreciate your time here, Lauren. I know you're a busy executive with a lot of responsibilities, and coming to us to agree to participate in the podcast has just been amazing. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Francisco.
Where can
Great to be here.
people reach out to you if they wanted to continue the conversation? Is LinkedIn a good place?
That's perfect. Always on LinkedIn. Yeah, happy to engage and really, really appreciate the opportunity to sit with you today and discuss one of my favorite topics. Thank you.
Excellent. Thank you very much. For everyone, we had Lauren Sallata. She is the Chief Marketing Officer at Ricoh. Thank you for being here today, Lauren. And do not miss the next episode at the TheNowGen podcast. We discussed what powerful brands like Ricoh are doing to cope with the now generation. Thank you and see you next time.